Hello and welcome to Magical Travel Adventure. I am Lauren, your host, and today we are going to be talking about Port Orleans Riverside at Disney World. This is one of the moderate resorts at Disney World. It's one that sleeps five. So, this is a good resort to be talking about if any of those things interest you. If you're new here, I'm Lauren. I'm a travel advisor. I specialize in Disney destinations, Universal Studios, and cruising. And I help you have a personalized trip that include what you want to do, not what everyone tells you you need to do. And let me tell you, that makes a big difference because you could be sifting through tons and tons of material and not even understand that you don't even need to know that information for your trip. So let's talk about where you might be able to stay on your Disney World trip. So, Port Orleans Riverside is, I feel like all the moderate resorts are sort of one of those things that people really like and they enjoy, and people have their favorites. And I feel it the most at the moderates. And Port Orleans Riverside is interesting because it's a two-part resort. There's Port Orleans Riverside, and then there's Port Orleans French Quarter. I've already done the French Quarter video, so you can check that out. I'll put that in the show notes below so you can see that. And now we're talking about Riverside. So Riverside is that moderate resort. And let's look at a map so you can see those differences. So up here is Port Orleans Riverside. And then below here is Port Orleans French Quarter. So French Quarter, as you can see, is much smaller. Riverside is much larger. And with both resorts, it doesn't matter, but with both resorts, if you have a room, you're not staying in that main building. All the rooms are going to, you're going to need to go outside to get to your rooms. And I say that because in Florida, it's been known to rain like every single day, especially if you plan on going anywhere between April and December. Those January to March months, don't worry, they still have other types of weather during that time and it still can rain. But the rainiest season is between April and December. So you could be walking outside in the rain. Now, with Port Orleans French Quarter, it is a very large resort. There is the main building, which is going to have your check-in, your food, and things like that. The lounge area is going to be in there, or one of the lounge areas is going to be in there. There is also this main pool area, and then the resorts are scattered throughout. Because this is such a large resort, there are internal bus stops, meaning they make multiple bus stops inside Riverside before you actually go to the parks, which we'll get into a little later also. There are also scattered, I talked about the main pool here, but they're called quiet pools. They're just regular pools scattered throughout the resort. There are also special royal rooms that we'll be talking about at this resort. So, as I said, this is a moderate resort. It has the rooms are pretty much standard, preferred, and royal rooms. There's other viewpoints in between those, but those are the main three. There's a quick service option, a table service option, a lounge. There are 5 pools, 1 main pool, and then other small pools scattered throughout. And getting to the parks is bus transportation, but there is a special way to get to Disney Springs, which is by boat. Okay, so I've been doing these videos on all the resorts, and there are amenities that are just included at all the Disney resorts. These are just the main things. Every resort is going to have a bell services, a front desk, complimentary transportation to the parks. It's going to vary depending on which which resort you're staying at. Every resort has at least a quick service dining. There are multiple pools, an arcade, a gift shop, and some activities at the resort. The activities vary per resort, per season, per day, and they will be shown to you around the resort. They're on like little sandwich boards. Sometimes they'll hand you something if you check in at the front desk, but there's different things, and sometimes you can check in the app too. So let's talk about a standard room. This is the room that my husband and I stayed in last summer. It's a standard room. It has 2 queen beds, and then we were actually in a 5th sleeper. So this is when it sleeps 5. So this is what the 5th bed looks like. It's up here if you don't need it. You can pull down it for that 5th person. Now this is smaller than a twin. It's not going to fit a regular sized adult. I'm 5'8". I barely fit laying on it lengthwise. I would not be able to have a pillow really, if then my feet would start to hang off. So just be aware of that, that it's really meant for that fifth sleeper is really meant for a child sleeping here. So you can either get a standard option that you could sleep for. If you want that fifth sleeper option, you need to pick that option as the room that you want. Otherwise, you're not going to get that fifth sleeper. Now, there are these other rooms, they're called royal rooms, and they are princess themed, as a royal would be. And you can see there is a nice headboard here. It lights up. There are 2 queen beds. There are princess themes around here, very regal theming throughout. So this is, this does only sleep 4. So just make sure that you understand that. But these royal rooms are very sought after and people really like them and they do book them. The standard bathroom, like in the fifth sleeper, this is what it would look like. You have your 2 sinks, your area to put suitcases, and then over here is the toilet and the tub. In the royal rooms, it's a little more I don't want to say upgraded, but it looks more fancy. You have the sparkly blue. Down here, you have the Aladdin themed fixtures here, and then your toilet and shower here. What I will say is that these bathrooms don't seem to be uniform in size. Some seem smaller than others, and I don't know if that's just how it seems to me or seems to other people, but it does seem to be that they are not all the exact same size. Sometimes if you're a parent and you are trying to help your kid in the tub, the royal rooms seem to have a better configuration with the toilet and the tub. And the standard rooms, especially for some reason, the fifth sleepers to me, it seems very tight in the bathroom. And I can't really wrap my head around what that is. But it just seems if you're a parent and you have to help your kid in the bath, it just is a little tighter. The door space is not as large, it doesn't swing out as much. I had no picture of it, and I'm so sorry, but just know it's tighter than it is in this picture of the royal room. This is the food court. So it's a basic food court. It has drink stations. It has different areas where you order your food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It changes throughout the day. Pretty basic. Tons of seating here, inside and outside. Boatwrights is the table service option. It's, a fair option. It's only open for dinner, so 4 o'clock and beyond. It's fine. You normally can get a reservation day of, so I don't know what that's saying about the food there, but it's definitely an option for you if you would like a table service option. The River Roost Lounge, this is inside in that main building area. So you have the quick service, then it goes Boatwrights, and then the River Roost Lounge. It's a lounge. This is not, there's another lounge that I'm going to talk about that I like much better than this at Riverside, but this is a great indoor option if you like it. My Rivers Lounge is the one that I like better. It's outside, and I don't know what it is, but this lounge just seems more fun. It's over by the main pool area, the one that has the slide, and it just seems to be more fun. You can get drinks, you can sit out here, you can get a little food. It just seems more fun, maybe because there's more things to see when you're at the Muddy River Lounge. But I just think this is the better of the 2 lounges. Inside the main building area, there is the Fulton General Store. It is a basic store where you're going to be shopping. If you need any Disney merchandise, if you need any general things for your room, this is the place to go. The pool area, this is that main pool area. It does have a slide. You can see it. It comes out right here. And if you've never seen one of my videos before, when I take pool pictures, it's impossible because I do not like to get people in the pictures because I know that people don't like getting their picture taken in the pool, and I try so hard. So obviously this is an empty pool. This is like 7 a.m. in the morning. But yeah, this is the slide here. This is a busy place. During the day, this is a busy place. When this opens, people are in here. They're in here for a long time. There's activities at this pool. People really like this pool area, so people are going to come to this area often, but it's really great. They provide towels at the pool. That's at all Disney pools, so you don't need to bring some with you. And then Muddy Rivers is around the pool area. So, transportation to the parks. The boat that is going to be right outside the like quick service area, that is where you're going to pick up this boat and it will take you to Disney Springs. Now, with that, this boat will go to Disney Springs. It will make other stops along the way. Typically, it also stops at French Quarter, and then you will take the boat ride to Disney Springs. I'm going to say it's going to take 15 to 20 minutes to get to Disney Springs, but it's a really enjoyable ride. I really like this ride. It's relaxing, it's slow, but if you're in a rush to get to Disney Springs, just know it's not going to be like a super quick ride for you. Everything else is bus transportation, and that's going to be out in front of the main building, and you will find the bus transportation there. You also will have the bus stops. You might be closer to a different bus stop than the main bus stop. As I talked about before, there's an internal bus route. So it's going to go around to all the little bus routes, and you can actually see the different bus routes in your app. So once you're in your resort, you can checked into your resort. It will show up like your resort's going to show up in your My Disney Experience account. You can actually go into that resort and it will say buses and it will give you the times that the buses are going to stop at each stop. That gives you a little hint like, okay, I should be going out to my bus stop now. If you've never been to this resort, I suggest that you check in at the front desk. They will give you a map and they will tell you which bus stop is going to be closest to you. So you know which bus stop to go to, how to get to it, how to walk to it, those kinds of things. Because it's a large resort, you want to know where your closest bus stop is so you're not like going like 10, 15 minutes walking just to get to your bus stop. Use those internal bus stops so it doesn't seem like such a long walk. Okay, so let's talk about Riversides. What are some of the pros and cons? This is a quieter resort. Now, it's not going to be as quiet as French Quarter, which is the smaller resort, but it is still a quieter resort. And the reason that these two resorts are quieter is they're not really around the theme park. So you're not getting that extra theme park noise with where you're staying. So you're just getting resort noise, which there are so many trees here. It makes it quieter here. If you have a princess fan, this is a great option to stay in one of the royal rooms. Kids love those rooms. They're so fun. Adults love those rooms. I've actually been booking a lot of adults lately in these royal rooms. They just seem to love the theming. And there are multiple activities around. So, unlike some of the other resorts where there's basic activities and they rotate each day, some of the activities at Port Orleans Riverside are kind of special. There is a fishing station where you rent all the equipment and you can go fishing. So, it's really kind of fun. They also have these Surrey bikes where they're like covered bikes and you pedal along and you can go all along Riverside and then you can go over to French Quarter and you can go back. It's a very fun experience to go on these Surrey bikes. A lot of people like them. These are all things that are right at the resort. It's definitely something that you want to consider, that you want to spend some time at this resort enjoying these activities. There is the boat to Disney Springs. If you think you're going to be going to Disney Springs a lot, this is a great option. You're a little closer. You could take that boat ride. It's very nice. And if you're a family of 5, this is one of the resorts that you can sleep a family of 5 at that moderate level. The value resorts, the only resort that you can do that with is Art of Animation, and that one is going to really put you more at a deluxe resort price. So this and Caribbean Beach are your ones that sleep 5. So this and Caribbean Beach would be the 2 options that I would start with a family of 5. Some of the cons are that this resort is large, and with that shared bus and an internal bus stops. So when I mean shared bus is you share a bus with French Quarter. And this is one of the things that frustrates me probably the most about Riverside is, for some reason, Riverside doesn't really have its own dedicated buses. It shares with Port Orleans French Quarter. Now, French Quarter, I said, is a smaller resort, but French Quarter does not share buses with Riverside. And I still can't understand why this is, but it is what it is. That causes your trip to be much longer on the way to the parks and on the way back. So, first the bus will go to French Quarter, then it's coming over to Riverside and going to all the internal stops. And then sometimes it goes back to French Quarter and then goes out to the parks. When you're coming back from the parks, it always stops at French Quarter first and then goes to all the internal bus stops. It's probably the thing that frustrates me the most about staying at Riverside. If the bus didn't stop at French Quarter, I would 100% say everyone could stay at Riverside, that the internal buses don't really add on too much time. The time it adds on is really going over to French Quarter. So you just need to know that that is going to happen. The other thing with the internal bus stop is it's really hard at night to know what bus stop you're at. So someone has to be paying attention to what stop you're at in order to know it's time to get off. And when you have kids and you're trying to hold one or two and they're sleeping and someone else is, trying to talk to you, and you're trying to pay attention to see, like, is this our bus stop? What stop is this? It can get very frustrating, especially if you're tired and hot from the day. So it's something you need to be aware of if you're going to stay here, and just know that going into it so that you're not disappointed with that in the end. Now, the reasons that you would stay at Port Orleans Riverside is the amenities. There are more amenities at Riverside than there are at French Quarter. So I really like that fishing option. That is how I first fished, because everything was there and it was just like, okay. And someone showed me, and great. So I learned to fish, sort of. If you're going to be spending time at Disney Springs, this is another resort I recommend. If you're a family of 5, of course. And if you like those royal rooms, this is the place to stay. It's really fun to have that theming. I really like it a lot. What my clients say is this is a quieter resort, quieter than they had anticipated, especially if you stayed at a value resort before this. It's like shocking, almost like, oh my gosh, it's so quiet. Like, do I whisper here? And you don't need to whisper. But sometimes it feels like that because at a value resort, it's people are always leaving and going and talking and running. So when you get to a moderate resort, it's just that different feeling that people get, like, oh, it's like we don't have to run to every place. It's okay. Like, we'll get there. Um, the clients say that buses take a long time. It's just in a if you've always stayed at a value resort, there's one stop, everyone gets on and everyone goes, and then you get to where you're going. At this moderate and most moderates, they're internal bus stops. So it's a little frustrating that you have to wait that long for the buses to get all the way around and then get to the parks. The going to Disney Springs is one of the reasons people really like being here too. Like, that is, people just love taking the boat ride there. It is fun, and it's an easy way to get back and forth and not to have to wait for the buses. And anyone who stayed at the Royal Rooms has absolutely loved them. Adults, kids, everyone seems to love these rooms. They're just fun themed, and they just, they bring out a little whimsy, and just sometimes staying in a special room like that can make all the difference. So, all right, I'd love to hear from you. What questions do you have about Riverside? And would you stay here? Would this be one of the resorts that you'd want to stay at? Let me know in the comments. All right, that will do it for today's show, and I will talk to you next time on Magical Travel Adventure. Bye.